All right, what is going on? This is a video that was actually requested a while back in the comments section on one of my previous videos. Using Con-Off backset, concrete dissolver, concrete remover, whatever you want to call it, to remove concrete. I'm just doing some wiring work here on this back step, and I found the perfect candidate for a little demo, as we'll call it. So we got here is a spray bottle full of concrete remover. I'll just show you here. We order ours by the 45-gallon drum. It's way cheaper doing it that way versus buying it by the 5-gallon pail. Even that being said, this stuff is extremely expensive. Just show you what we got here. This is the exact one that we use. There's a whole bunch of different brands. They all have claims to fame. I've found they're all pretty much the same. The only difference is some of them are a little bit more aggressive than others, but the trade-off is the ones that are more aggressive don't have corrosion inhibitors mixed into them, and they will turn they'll turn bare metal rusty very, very quickly. This one here does not do that as long as you rinse it thoroughly when you're done. So this is the one that we've kind of stuck with over time. We had another one called Sand Blast. It was really, really heavy. Did work well. But like I said, you got to stay on top of it. Make sure you wash it off with soap and water right away. Quick point here, when you're storing this stuff, don't spill it on concrete or store it on a concrete slab where it could spill, because I'll show you exactly why. We used to store this drum over here, and as you can see, no good for the concrete unless you're after an exposed aggregate type finish. So that's why when we're working indoors here on a nice finished slab, I always put down a little catch basin or pool, just so it's not dripping all over our nice finished floor. So what we're going to do here is, I'll tell you right off the bat, this stuff is not, it's not pure magic. There is no magic solution. So as you can see, obviously, old hardened concrete. This stuff has been on here for a long time. So what we're going to do, going to give it a good pre-soak. Really let it soak in there. Like so. I'll get this area here as well. Even though this stuff claims to be not corrosive, I still recommend keeping it away from all electrical. So be a little delicate here. And we're just going to let that soak in. I'm going to come back probably about 20 minutes. I'll give it another coat after that. I'll probably do this 3 or 4 times. Ideally, we'll let this stuff sit overnight and saturate. When I get on to coats 3 and 4, I'll take my scraper, I'll agitate it a little bit just to open up the pores on this stuff so this chemical can soak in a little bit better. We'll come back, we'll work it around with the scraper a little bit. We'll finally get to the point where we're ready to peel it off with the pressure washer. This stuff right here, I'll probably just take my big scraper to. This is too thick. So what this stuff does work really well for is day of splatter. Just give the hopper a light mist. That will rinse off right away. But old concrete like this, especially if you've got like a bridge deck mix or a high strength concrete, it's not as simple as spray it on, rinse it off, and all your problems are solved. That's not how it works. There's still a lot of elbow grease required, and this stuff is not cheap. Filling this bottle one time, even when we're buying in bulk, probably costs me about $15. So use sparingly. You don't want to be wasting this stuff as your savior for cleaning the inside of the hopper at day's end for washout and whatnot. I've seen guys do it. Not good for the bank account, that's for sure. So anyhow, I'll check in here when I get on my next little coats. Once we get a good saturation going, I'll start working this around with the scraper, see exactly how we do it. And by the time we're done, this will come back to nice original paint. This is the original paint on this step, or original epoxy paint. So I don't want to take a needle hammer to that, knock the paint off, and have to respray it with Tremclad. I want to preserve that nice original paint. So anyhow, that'll be the process. Several coats, soak it, work it with the scraper, soak it, work it with the scraper, finally get to the point where we hit it with a pressure washer, and it'll look like new. I promise. Just be patient with me here. All right, here we go. It's about half an hour later. We're gonna do one more coat here, just to freshen this up, keep it nice and moist. You never want to try and work this stuff when it's dry like that. You're just wasting your time. You need to have it nice and wet. Nice and wet up there too. Grab your scraper. See how it makes that pasty residue? That's where you want to be at. Once you get to that point, just work that around with the scraper. This top area here is going to be a little more stubborn. It's on there a little thicker. So break that up a little bit. Reapply, let that soak in for a bit. We'll come back and do the same again. Areas here like this checker plate where you can't really get a scraper at it, I'll just use a stiff bristle brush. Work it around with the brush. Work that in there, open that up a bit. We'll come back on that. So anyhow, we're making progress. We'll check in here in a little bit. Alright, here we are progressing away for some of this thick stuff. Pull out the big guns rather, the old Goodson super scraper, carbide tip scraper. This thing is the cat's ass. Only thing you gotta watch with this is it will quickly burn into the paint or cut into the paint. So on some of this heavier stuff down here will be okay because the concrete's still so thick. We'll spray to reactivate. So I'll just work it, get some of that heavy stuff off. Some of this really thick stuff, what I like to use is an auto body hammer. Nice and light, got a nice flat face. As long as you hit it nice and square, the concrete will flake off, but you won't actually break paint. So just hit it nice and flat. Yeah, see that? Keeps the paint relatively intact. It's nice if you've got some thick buildup on the pump. It's nice not to get to the point of having thick buildup even to begin with, but if you get stuck in that horrible situation, keep one of these. Really, really handy. So anyhow, I'll soak this down, work it a little bit more with the super scraper here, and then we will keep on trucking away. what I'm doing here, I keep this nice and wet, almost as a lubricant as well. Keeps me from gouging through the paint. There still were a couple little spots where I got a bit aggressive, but I'm not super concerned about this area of the pump. I don't mind if I get a couple little scratches, so I'm being a little bit less cautious than I would normally be. But as you can see, we're definitely making progress. It just takes time. Soak it, scrape it, soak it, scrape it, soak it, scrape it. Eventually, go. Eventually it'll come out nice and clean, just like that. All right, are you ready? It's pressure washer time. Pardon the ruckus. That's our somewhat sick sounding 58 meter in the background there, but that's a whole nother video. Yeah, if you hear that rattling going on from the engine, there's a story to that. Anyways, before we rinse this stuff off here, see how it's dried out, a little bit chalky. Always wet it down once again with another mist of Con-Off remover, Con-Off concrete remover.
Need me for anything?
No, unless you want to help me with a YouTube video. Come back. He doesn't realize my two best videos are featuring him. That's Sid. Yeah, no, yeah. Actually, hold the camera. The one we made about priming out, it's got 4,000 views already, and about 3,000 pieces of advice how to do it differently and better.
It just shut off now.
Nope, no, it's still on. The screen just goes dark. Get in closer. Here we go. This is it. Here's the magic. That's not all going to come off because some of that stuff is really old. It's really caked on there. Anyhow, you get the idea. Some of the stubborn old stuff, I'm really going to have to work this with a pressure washer and or reapply some Con-Off, keep scraping away. Like I said, the stuff is not, it's not magic. Any really old concrete, like I said, especially high strength stuff, multiple applications. It still is a lot of work, but as you can see, it's way better than what we had before. So keep plugging away with the pressure washer here for a bit and check back out for the outro. Just like that, we are finished. I took an extra 15 minutes with the pressure washer and really worked this. Mistake I made, I had the hot wash turned on and I did actually peel a little bit of paint, which kind of is a risky run when you're using the hot high pressure water. But yeah, as you can see, compared to before, night and day difference. So like I said, it's not the be-all end-all miracle chemical. It definitely is helpful, but it is very pricey. So really the answer, just tarp your stuff off, wash it the day of. Ideally don't ever let it get to the point where you got to blast it with $20 worth of chemical to get it clean. So you can see here I got the other side to tackle sometime in the future. Yuck, one of those neglected, often forgotten areas, right? So anyhow, takeaways from it all: don't get it on concrete. Remember what I showed you on the slab over there, it will destroy it, which is good in a pumping application, not so good in a yard space application. And like I said, I've tried probably at least a half a dozen different Con-Off, concrete remover, sandblast, A million different products. They all kind of essentially do the same thing. They sort of remind me of those gel type primers. A million different versions of it, but they all sort of achieve the same thing. Like I said, the only difference I noticed is some of the more aggressive stuff does not have a corrosion inhibitor in it, and it will turn things a little bit rusty. But yeah, the one that we're using here, that goes by the name of Con Off. Is the one we've kind of stuck with, and it works really, really well. If you buy it in bulk, you'll save yourself lots of money. If you find a really, really good deal on this stuff, in my experience, it's probably because it's been diluted and it doesn't work nearly as well. Classic case of get what you pay for. Anyhow, that'll be it. How's it go? Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Oh, while we're here, little 24 that I painted yesterday. Except for this horrific looking rope hanging off the back end. Looks pretty good. Oh yeah, and one more. Like, share, subscribe. Button this step back up and get on out of here. Over and out.